And now, I make an ass of myself for the thumbnail. I had the Daredevil glasses, but I sold them back to Amazon, so the best you get is John Lennon. Yo, so I wanted to talk about Daredevil Born Again. It's a few days before the series actually drops, and I wanted to get my thoughts out there. There's always this special time of wonder right before something comes out, where your speculation hits its peak. Initial thoughts that might get completely rewritten once something comes out are still flowing. So I just kind of wanted to get that out there before this show drops, and my opinion gets thrown onto the pile of a million other opinions. And first, more than anything else, I'm super excited. I love the original show. I just got done rewatching the first season. Despite the past 5 or so years of kind of fucking up a lot of their releases, everything kind of since Endgame and COVID, Marvel has really shown that they're on the path to course correct, and this is sort of the first project that is a step in that direction. Well, I guess they haven't really showed us that they're on a path to course correct, more so just told us and kind of promised us. With the muddled release of that new Captain America movie, people are kind of feeling the mundanity of a lot of these projects right now. But this project seems like a step in the right direction for Marvel, a kind of response to all of its post-Endgame criticism and a lot of the criticisms that have been thrown at the Disney Plus shows. And they put their money where their mouth is by literally going back in and reshooting almost the entire season. I saw some interviews and promo material saying that initially the show was going to not be a direct continuation of the original Netflix Daredevil show, which I find baffling. I don't understand why they're trying to walk this kind of confusing line of it's a reboot, but it's in the same universe, but it's a sequel, but not a sequel. Why not just rip the Band-Aid off and be like, hey, yeah, the previous 3 seasons are required reading. Here's a 4th season. I don't know. I think that's great, and I think that was definitely the right choice. I mean, the only reason why they changed the title in the first place is to not have to technically be a part of the same series so they don't have to pay the original creators. But that's another story. But anyway, the fact that they reshot that entire season tells me at the very least that someone over at Marvel really is trying to get Daredevil to work and really is trying to make Matt Murdock a part of this universe. And it's great. They went through the effort of bringing back the main cast after some convincing. They brought the production back to New York, and they even put the guy in a friggin' Spider-Man movie in a scene that's really weird and confusing if you don't know who he is. So yeah, I like Daredevil. I like his comics. I'm reading through the Bendis run right now, trying to get my hands on the Miller run. But I do have some concerns, and they might not be the ones that you expect. So what are my concerns? Well, I think first and foremost, it being on Disney Plus kind of gets a lot of people to tense up. I think the fact that it was on Disney Plus kind of goes to imply that it might be pulling a lot of punches. It might not be as visceral. It might not have people just shooting each other in a room the way that Season 1 does. It might not have the same language or violence. But I think the trailer that they put out directly addresses the fact that, no, we are kind of making this return to form in those ways. If anything, my concern now is that they're leaning too much into the violence and making it almost kind of a gore fest. That compound fracture in the trailer was sweet to see, but when I think of Daredevil, I don't think of him, ripping out guys' bones and, bludgeoning people to death. I mean, granted, that's a part of it, but I think what makes those scenes so effective and so visceral is the choreography, is the staging, is the kind of lighting and gritty tone. And they got to give us another long take hallway fight scene. I mean, it's become such a joke at this point that it's like a tradition now. Put Matt in a fucking helicarrier, have him break out or something. So yeah, it's funny, but it's kind of like I'm almost hoping that the show isn't too gruesome for the sake of it now, which is not the criticism I was expecting to have. So yeah, other than the violence, kind of more importantly, the story. What is the story? I've kind of seen a lot of these promotional materials with the characters interacting, but they're keeping the story pretty vague in a lot of the things that I've seen. I feel like we're in such a weird place with this character that's also kind of reflected in a lot of other of Marvel's characters, like Spider-Man, where he's the guy, but he's not fully the guy, I mean, he's fought ninjas, fought the Punisher, banged Elektra, beat the Kingpin twice, but he can't have D's on his chest. In the same way that Tom Holland in the Spider-Man trilogy doesn't become Spider-Man until the end of the 3rd movie, which is crazy. I don't want this Matt Murdock to be reckoning with the fact that he's Daredevil. I mean, the guy's been doing it in universe for over a decade now, something like 15 years. So that's something that he should have together. I don't want the first 15 years of his career as this hero to be an origin story. So I guess I'm kind of worried that Matt Murdock, now played by a guy in his 40s, is going to be given a second origin, or is going to be still kind of figuring his life out or something. I want him to be like, no, this is who I am, this is a part of it, and now the consequences of me making this decision are coming to mess my life up. I don't know if this makes any sense what I'm saying, but it was kind of something that came up when I saw his appearance in She-Hulk, which was really fun, and we got like some cool displays of his powers, and a superhero team up is always cool to see, especially in live action. But they kind of treated him like he was this like freewheeling young bachelor type of guy. And the whole time I was just thinking like, where's Karen? Where's some of these relationships that he developed over the course of when we saw him? Is this even the same character from that series, or is it just played by the same guy? Which is something that I definitely think they were figuring out over at Marvel, and it leaked down into the final product. So that kind of unconfident, wavering sort of thing, I want to be completely washed away when it comes to this show. Like, yeah, it's a sequel to the Netflix Daredevil. Get over it. So yeah, if this season ends with him finally putting the D's on his chest and some newfound assurance that he is Daredevil, like, were the first 15 years of him being this guy in origin? That's super weird. And I don't necessarily think they're going to go down that route, right? Like, a lot of the promos and trailers have shown that Matt and Fisk are these two aging men with this, like, years-long feud. And I think that's the right way to go. Address the age. Address the amount of time that's passed, rather than try to cover it up. Something I really don't want to see is having all the characters around Matt grow and change and whatever, get married, have kids, but Matt himself be stuck as this kind of older man figuring his life out. That's kind of sad, just because we want Daredevil to be this young action hero. Like, come on, figure your shit out, Matthew. So I think the fact that they're addressing the age and the time that's passed is a good thing. And another thing entirely is Fisk. I peek into the Echo show every now and then just to see our boys, but really it couldn't hold me and I dropped off, which I think is something that needs to be addressed here. This isn't the first time that we're seeing Fisk since the show. And I'm wondering how much of that Fisk that we got in Hawkeye and Echo is going to bleed over into this new Daredevil run. I mean, the guy's been through a lot in between shows. If you just went from watching Daredevil, maybe Defenders, to watching this new Daredevil, you're like, okay, what's happened to Fisk in between? He got shot in the face, he was blinded, then cured that, now he's the mayor, all off screen. That's a lot to just kind of accept. And of course, Vincent D'Onofrio always brings his A game, so seeing him and engaging with him as an actor isn't the problem, it's more the story around him supporting that performance. I'm really curious to see what he's going to bring to this new season, and how much of that kind of comic book villainousness that they've been really playing up in some of these spin-offs he's going to bring. I really like the idea of them making him the mayor. I think it gives D'Onofrio so much to cook with, and yeah, I'm super excited to see what they do with him. Look, they gave him the shirt from the thing. And it's funny, because one of the things I'm most excited about is the side characters. Seeing Foggy and Karen and just the status of Nelson and Murdoch is going to be super exciting. I love those characters, and it'll be great to catch up with them. But I think the one I'm most excited to see, and the one that everyone's most excited to see, is Jon Bernthal back as the Punisher. He's such an all-time actor, it's not even funny. He's in The Bear, he's in Wolf of Wall Street, he crushes everything he does. He's the man. I really hope they give him something to do other than like a kind of one-off, reluctant team-up type of episode. I think him being kind of a core cast member in this Daredevil story is something that really worked in that first chunk of Season 2, and something I really hope they bring to the table again. But we'll see. At the time of recording this, there are rumors that they're giving him one of those Marvel special presentation things where it's kind of like a 45-minute, hour-long chunk of story that I think is going to act as a litmus test to see if people are interested in bringing back the Punisher show in some way. I don't know. In my opinion, Punisher is a movie character. Give him like a throwback, gritty 90s era action movie, and I think people will eat that up. Marvel does John Wick kind of a thing. But you got to put the effort in. And the great thing about Punisher is that he brings such a different tone to the MCU that having him in your umbrella opens up this whole other channel of things you can do and bring in. I think he adds some much needed variety into this world, and I can't wait to see him. But you have to do him right. So yeah, what do you think about Born Again? Are you hyped, or is this something that you think should have come out years ago? What hallway do you think Matt should fight down this time? Let me know, and see ya. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.